That's right. Today, they're kicking off a new exhibit celebrating his most wide-reaching social reform. It's the 75th birthday of Social Security, and it's not just a new deal, it's a pretty big deal.
Happy birthday, Social Security. Happy birthday to you. Thank you.
The cornerstone of American social policy began with the signing of the Social Security Act into law on August 14, 1935. With the swipe of a pen, and not without opponents, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt transformed the mission of the New Deal from one of relief to one of reform, a mission in which all Americans now had a stake.
Each of our steps has a definite relationship to every other step. The objective of the nation has greatly changed in 3 years. Before that time, individual self-interest and group selfishness were paramount in public thinking. More and more people, because of clearer thinking and a better understanding, are considering the whole rather than a mere part.
The exhibit, titled Our Plain Duty, is a showcase of civic literacy to provide historical context as our national debate about Social Security continues into the future.
You had so many people in deep depression, unemployed, suffering deeply in the context of the Great Depression, and how that changed, how that altered the set of circumstances, how that began to improve things for people, and how it makes such a big difference in the lives of older Americans today.
Today, 53 million Americans receive Social Security benefits every month. And although it was a policy forged in the dust of the Great Depression, Social Security remains every bit as relevant to the baby boomers of today.
Social Security keeps over 90% of older Americans out of poverty, and it is the major source of income for most retirees. It is a sobering difference when you compare it to 75 years ago, when the elderly poverty rate was estimated at well over 50%.
The grandson of FDR himself said that Social Security is rooted in the two words that comprise its name.
Social Security is a social insurance program for American families. It is a societal contract rooted in our belief that we have obligations to each other. We are committed to protecting our fellow Americans from the economic ravages of old age, disability, and death. These obligations extend across time. One generation supports the next generation, which supports the next generation, and so on. No program has touched more American lives and benefited more American families.
Americans as a whole are feeling a lot better, a lot more cheerful than for many, many years.
When you first walk into the room and there's a display about how things were before the Social Security Administration, and the scroll that goes all the way across the ceiling where people were writing to the president saying, you know, we need help, and the photographs of all the people on the wall, you know, you look at them, you know that they're good people, but they look hungry, they look down and out. And but for Social Security Administration and the Social Security benefits, they're not living, they're not going to make it.
Reading some of the notes that were written, letters were written to President Roosevelt in the Great Depression, as this country went through that very difficult time, at a time similar to the one we're in now. We didn't quite hit the bottom that they did, but for many people it was close. Social Security provides death benefits for orphans. I mean, this is something that's not just for old people. It's to provide those people with necessities of life so that they're not literally begging on the street corner. It's the American ideal.
Sometimes it depends on what paper you read or what broadcast you listen in on. For the overwhelming majority of people in this country know how to sift the wheat from the chaff in what they hear and in what they read. They know that the process of the constructive rebuilding of America cannot be done in a day or a year, but that it is being done in spite of the few who seek to confuse them and to profit by their confusion.
We've been reminded of this recently during the economic downturn, this economic recession that we are experiencing. We can only imagine what would have occurred by now if that attempt back in 2005 to privatize Social Security had been successful.
This duty of seeing the country in a long-range perspective is one which in a very special manner attaches to this office to which you have chosen me.
We have an obligation to keep that promise, to safeguard Social Security for our seniors, people with disabilities, and for all Americans, today, tomorrow, and forever. That's a promise each generation of Americans has kept, and it's a promise America will continue to keep so long as I have the honor of serving as president.